Is this thing on? And here we are live at Club Dub Studio. This is episode 8 of A Date with Destinee. And I'm Eric Hansen. I dabble in music and promotion, and including the McFunky Band, which is playing all over the place. And I've also done achieved what no other artist has ever attempted, and that's to put the Zen in Armageddon with my new floating song, which I'm also dabble a little bit in political punditry, and as some of you might have noticed, I also am doing a podcast. Next, I'll have Destinee, who is with us here at Club Dub Studio, introduce herself.
My name is Destinee. I usually go by Des. I am a bartender. I have 2 cats, which qualifies me as the position of crazy cat lady, and I will be doing some music in the future. I also make candles and hoping to open my own candle shop soon, so stay tuned for that.
And we are today very pleased and honored to have an incredible super sales personality in our presence, Mr. Art Boseman, that also has, that has humble beginnings as a Navy SEAL. And he's going to introduce himself now.
Hi, my name is Art, and I'm originally from North Carolina, and been in the car business since 1978. Been doing that quite a while. Eric's a friend of mine I haven't seen for years, and I met Desiree here. Destinee, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
And so I have the honor and privilege to come over and be with Eric and his radio station here. Wow, it's live. I've never had the opportunity to do anything like this, except when we're interviewed coming back from Vietnam. Anyway, I have been in the presence here at breakfast. Wow, such a treat. Grapes. Over easy eggs, sourdough bread with lots of bacon, 12 shots of espresso. Thank God, I had that this morning. Get going.
You really did, though.
But anyway, what would you like to talk about, Eric?
Well, I thought that we might begin with a little talk about the old days of selling, kind of how you got into become like the super car salesman personality. I first learned about Art from a newspaper. He was in I think the San Jose Mercury, featured for his extraordinary performance at, was it Oak Tree Mazda back then?
Oak Tree Mazda.
And shortly after meeting him indirectly by his reputation and the press, I met him and had the pleasure of working with him in person as he moved over to Stevens Creek Honda, which at that time was a Lucas dealership. And so he and I basically bumped elbows in our own individual efforts to move a few Hondas. And I always enjoyed Art's colorful personality, and that's one of the things I've loved about sales is 2 things. First is that there's no job that doesn't involve selling. When I moved on to work in tech for a 12-year break between going back to the car business, I found that experience to be invaluable, because even if you're working in a cubicle and you're working on a timeline and a schedule, that ability to convey your position and to move others to maybe come around to your thinking was essential to that job as well. And also when managing vendors, doing documentation, tech docs, user guides, that selling experience amounts to a form of management experience. And but Art, again, had always impressed me, both from performance standpoint, obviously, and also from kind of his very colorful personality. And so I'd ask you maybe about a little background of how you wound up selling cars.
Well, I started off in North Carolina. My family had been farming there since 1794, 96, and grew up on a big farm. We were about 32 to 35,000 acres at all times. 4:30 dark in the morning. All my family was military. Dad was a full bird colonel. 2 uncles were sergeant majors, 82nd Airborne, and I was destined to be a soldier, I think, not knowing it. And I grew up, around in sports. That's what kept me in school a lot. And I played football, baseball, basketball, some tennis, ran track, and ended up going into the military, not knowing, wanting to be a SEAL, but I can tell you this, wow, what an experience. It was a long journey. So when I got out of the military, I had no idea what I wanted to do. All I know is when my feet hit the ground, when I offlifted from that chopper, I was running, and I've been running for many, many years. So I never got married. I don't have any kids, and whatever I do and whatever I focus on, it's lights, cameras, action, and it's like whenever I walk on the turf of something, I want to light it up, and I just my first job was with Calworthen and Ford down in Long Beach. I went back and tried to play baseball, walked on at Long Beach State, and didn't play a lot, and got hurt. And so after I healed from that, I went down, met this guy in a bar, Calworthen and Ford, and this was in June of 1978. And he said, I got to get you into my store, boy. He says, you got a great personality. You'll light it up. And so I went down, and he gave me the 3 Ds, the demo, the draw, and the day off. I had $500 in my pocket. I'd never seen so much money at one time.
Wow.
And I tell you, went down, bought myself some shirts, some ties, and whatever, and I rolled in. And they start you off learning how to qualify people, different color balloons. It was a 20-acre lot. There were 60 salesmen on the floor. They didn't know who you were unless you were in the top 10, and the bottom 10 every month they would blow out. And for some reason, somehow, they took a liking to me, and I blew through everything and learned how to do all the paperwork, the credit applications, and back then, if you walked in and you didn't have your T's crossed and your I's dotted, they would just rip up your worksheet, rip up your paperwork, and throw it in your face. Get it done right, and that only happened to me once. That was very humiliating, and and after that, I didn't miss anything. And my first 3 weeks in the business, I sold 42 cars, and
Moly.
when I got paid, I had no idea how much money I had made, and then I got a place down. I bought a Corvette 454 convertible. And I was living in down on the beach in Long Beach, I had a place down there, and wow, I was living large. And like 4 months or 5 months after that, they asked me to go into a closing position where I was closing deals, and I just catapulted from there. And then I met her, another girl came up in my life, and I went up to Northern California. I left Southern California. And my first job in Northern California was at a Mazda dealership in Sunnyvale. Then I met some other people, and I went to the BMW store, which was next to the Black Angus. And I went there, and I sold 22 cars in a couple of weeks. They were like backed up. They had the contracts and the worksheets and just paperwork in it, because I didn't know how to do a lot of the paperwork back then, and you had to do everything by hand. But my deals were like backed up when the finance managers came in. I was like 3 or 4 or 5 deep in deals, and all my paperwork strode all over the place. And so they asked me to go to the Mazda store on Stevens Creek, to learn the business a little bit better and learn the paperwork.
Yeah.
And so I went there, and my first month there, I sold, they were doing about 100 cars a month. Mazda was starting to take off, and I think I sold about 35 cars my first month there. and I just catapulted, and I just kept going and going and going and going.
How many cars do you think you've sold total
Since
you started?
Well, this June coming up will be 44 years.
Oh, wow.
I've been doing this. I started in June of 1978. I would say at least several thousand.
Oh, so if it's been like 44 years, and let's just say you sell like 30 cars a month on average, probably more.
That's 360 cars a year.
Yeah.
You go 40 on that. 3 times 4.
12.
That's
like 12,000.
12.
But that's more than 12,000.
Let's say I sold
15,000.
14,000 cars in the last 44 years, and I'm still going. I'm at a Chrysler Jeep Dodge dealer in Sunnyvale, and I started off there, and God bless me, I just went full throttle, and I broke all the store records within 90 days. Every store record that was kept.
How did you do it? Like, what's so
I don't
different?
know.
What do you do?
I talk to people like I like to be talked to. I'm very inquisitive. I get to know them. I stay away from talking about the car that they're buying and whatever, although I do get back to that.
Yeah.
But, I'm like the little boy next door. I'm like the boy next door. That's how I like to talk to people.
So you're more or less like a friend when people come in.
Absolutely, and I think that's been my my way to go with people. And people, once they feel comfortable with you, they seem to share a lot more stuff with you, and you get to know them a lot better. Because I'm one of those. If I don't sell you a car today, tomorrow will come.
Yeah.
And I'll be here. That's the way it's been for me. And my career has been good. It's been a good one. And I've met a lot of interesting people, including you, Eric. I would have never known you got a radio station right here at your house. I've never done anything like this before. And it's quite the experience.
We've got a whole setup here. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, to come over and enjoy a 12-shot cappuccino and espresso and grapes and eggs over easy with bacon. And meeting nice company such as you, Miss. And,
thank you.
It's been great. I want to share this. My family seems to live a long time, and I just got back from North Carolina, and my mom had a stroke, and so I didn't know what to expect when I got there, but I dropped everything. None of this meant anything to me except for trying to get by her side, and then everything went south on me. My landlord wanted to kick us out. So I had to hire an attorney, for all the things that he had let go with the house that I had been renting for. I'd been there for 11 and a half years.
Yeah.
It just kept catapulting. And then I tell you, and then my mom has the stroke in December, and then I have to hire an attorney, and that wildness went on for about 4 or 5 months, but I ended up having to settle with him. But anyway, back in North Carolina, when I went back to be with my mom, I stayed there for 3 weeks on the ground, and she hadn't listened to me, and she didn't do any of the paperwork. She didn't do the deeds of trust, all the things that I asked her to do for a number of years, so I wouldn't be running down a rabbit hole if she was to have a stroke or heart attack, or she was to have any kind of failure whatsoever with her. And when I got back there, there was nothing I could do to help her. The only thing that somewhat saved me was I was a backup quarterback in high school, and then I became quarterback because the other quarterback broke his leg, Al, and So I became quarterback, and I led them to 3 state championships. And the lady that was at the bank where she kept her money, and I'm going to express myself here, that was the only thing that I got done, was I found out how much money she had in her bank account. I got shut down on every avenue. I was from out of state now. I was from California. And
Even though you're her son?
right. And the judge that owned a law firm there with his wife that did deeds and trust and wills just spoke to me briefly, and he said, boy, he says, you might as well just turn around and go back to California. He said, there ain't nothing you're going to be able to do for your mama. I mean, just heartbreaking. And when I got to my mom's side, I remember taking a really deep breath when I sat down beside of her, because the stroke she had, it affected her speech, her thinking, and it was like talking to a 4 to 7-year-old.
Oh, man.
And she had no idea. And my mother was the type of individual, on her chair on each side of her, she had missile launchers, so that's the type of personality she had. And to get there it was like talking to a little girl. I knew I was in trouble. And it took my heart to another whole level, but I held on. I stayed there by her side mostly every day, and then I got sick because you're in a rehab hospital, and so I usually get up and down pretty quickly, and whatever got a hold of me shook me for like 2 or 3 days hard, and I got really, really sick. And it was scary there. It was a rough ride for me for a few days, because normally when I'm sick, I get over it in 24, 48 hours, and I'm back up on my feet again. It runs in our family. My mother is full-blooded Indian and Cherokee, and I tell you, I'm blessed for the way that I have treated myself in the last 44 years. Most people would be dead. The way I've tortured myself. Anyway, my mom is still there.
Okay.
My sister's oldest daughter is taking care of her. She's still in the rehab hospital, and we've gotten her Medicaid and trying to, because we have 4 houses, and I've got land back there. And so I'm trying to at least keep it out of the hands of the state. So
absolutely.
They don't come in and take it.
That's been in the family since 1796.
That part, her houses and stuff, she's owned them probably for at least 30 years.
Okay.
She bought, I remember her buying the house that I grew up in once my dad and mom separated and split up. It was about a 1,500 square foot house. It had oak floors and 90 pine kitchen, and all. It was a really nice brick home. And she paid $99.95 for it. I was like 5 years old, and I hadn't started school yet. I remember her house payments being $65 a month.
Oh my gosh!
So
$65 a month.
That's how far back my family goes. And
what a time to be alive.
Anyway, the number one thing that I miss from the South is the food.
I hear that a lot.
Although I found a place in San Jose off First Street, it's a lot of soul food. And so I went there, and I had 2 helpings of catfish and smoked ribs, and I ate it up this past Sunday on Mother's Day. And I wanted to celebrate with my mom, so I had her on my phone there while I was having dinner when I spoke with her. It's been a ride this past year. and my sister being sick, and she couldn't come. She was 200 miles in North Carolina to the west in Hickory, which is up by the mountains of North Carolina, and she couldn't come. She had diverticulitis, and I could possibly lose her. She was in the hospital when all this was going on. So I had like a four fronts I was fighting. Now I know what Hitler felt like. So I tell you, I'm lucky to have been trained like I was in the military, because without that training and my love for God, it would probably have been a rougher ride than what it was. But I got through that. I came back, and I went back to work. And my first 2 weeks back, I sold, I think, 24 cars, because I'd been gone for a while. So I was fresh. So I sold 24 cars from the 12th of the month to the end of the month.
Oh, my gosh.
And so I don't look back on what deal that I made or 3 deals back or whatever. I focus on the next one.
Yeah.
I just keep hitting the target. And that's the way I was trained in the military. Hit the target, and think about scratch biscuits later. So anyway, it's been a pleasure.
Oh, no, we're still... we're in the studio, in Club Dub Studio, on a date with Destinee with the great Art Boseman, and we'll be returning in just a moment.
Wow.
And we're back in on a date with Destinee and the great Art Boseman. He's a gentleman that I had long known, but didn't ever know quite as well as kind of the discovery of our recent conversations. And what a theme for the recent Mother's Day too is kind of the things that we can go through when it comes to caring for an elderly parent. I have 2 parents that are, they're 85 and 88 respectively, so there's starting to be some things that come up. But obviously, Art was well prepared by his training in the Navy SEALs to persevere through what just are, horribly difficult things for any person to endure when it comes to a mother that you love and trying to do what's right and kind of navigate through all the red tape set up by, I guess, the bureaucracy. One thing that I did want to kind of ask about. Oh, actually, let me hand it to. I wanted to ask a little bit about the Navy SEAL experience, how you wound up as a Navy SEAL, which is kind of odd to think about because normally that's like such an elite group that kind of being driven into it is of particular interest and intrigue. What can you share about that, Art?
The training was extensive. 6 months of SEAL training, doing your jumps. There's nothing you can do to train hard enough to experience when you go through Hell Week and the things that you have to do. I don't know how to explain. You'd actually have to get in and do it to understand how extensive it is. I've seen different shows that show the different training and the different weeks that you're in different sectors of it. But when you're done, you're a very proud man to put on that patch. And I can't begin to tell you the heartaches that you endure and the pushbacks that you get. But once you finish, there were 365 guys that tried it, and we finished up with 17 out of 365 guys that graduated in my class. So anyway, it's extensive, it's long, and sometimes heartbreaking. and sometimes you get pushed back a bit, but you keep focusing on going forward, and that's the way I've been in my life. 3 steps back sometimes and 1 step forward. I still keep trying to focus on going forward, no matter what happens to me, and that logic has seemed to work in my life, and the same thing applies to my sales. That's what I focus on when I walk onto the turf. I try to abide by my time, the rules and the regulations, and focusing on finding someone to take a car home today. And that's what I focus on. And I think my number one focus is meeting people, talking with them, learning about them and their family and who they are as a person before I start trashing into their life and crashing into their life about trying to sell them something that I have. I get to know them a little bit, and I spend time with them, and I remember their name, and that's why I write people's names down and stuff, so I don't forget. Because if there's ever anything that has the importance of knowing someone and talking to someone, is they remember your name.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's been my number one key element for success.
You also had mentioned to me that the Navy SEAL, that one of the things that drives you in sales is that there's some adrenaline. And coming out of a background as a Navy SEAL, one would expect that there's some measure of maybe connection to an adrenaline experience that...
Well, let me tell you, jumping out of a plane at 10,000 feet is an adrenaline rush. If you've ever been bungee jumping or whatever, just like police officers and everything else, there's an adrenaline rush with everything that we do. And selling a car, it's like sometimes you feel the agony of defeat when you get that adrenaline rush where those people are stoked. They're so happy about the car they just bought. Yeah. They're happy that you sold it to them, that you're part of this deal. They're spending $50,000 to $100,000 plus here.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen to them every day. And you're part of it. Wow. What a concept. You're part of this.
It's like a big life decision.
Yeah, it's the second biggest purchase you ever make in your life.
Yeah.
And how often do you do it? The average person is 4 to 10 years. They buy a car.
Yeah.
And you get, and the more you do it, the higher the adrenaline rush, the more you cross that next line of adrenaline rush. And I just keep going and going and going like the ever-ready bunny. So.
Just confirming our call today at 1 p.m. I'll give you a call.
Excuse us, ladies and gentlemen. We're having some technical difficulties.
We've just confirmed a call.
That wasn't me, was it?
No, that was me. So as you can tell, there's some learning happening here at the Club Dub studio. But one thing that you had mentioned that also was incredibly intriguing to me was that that whereas some people, their life dream might precede being a Navy SEAL, yours was almost an opposite story to that.
I did not really. I didn't go into the military to do that, and I was pretty athletic, and I was captain of Service Week and boot camp. I went. That's another story I want to share. Doing the obstacle course, they pick a guy to be the captain of the team.
Okay.
And I broke record times, from the beginning to the end. So I had 5 guys on my team, and we started for qualifying time all the way to the back. Now, in boot camp, there's about 600 people there, okay, on the obstacle course. So I was able to get over first, which I broke record time of getting through the obstacle course.
Out of 600?
Out of 600. I started in the rear. I was right around 18 years old at the time, and I was in stellar health. So I waited for about a minute, a little over a minute, minute and a half, and my first guy came over. And then I waited, and then my second guy came over. Then my third guy came over. And then my fourth guy came over. And then the fifth guy came over. So I finished first before all 600 guys, and then I got all 5 of my guys over before one guy hit the wall.
Wow.
That started it. They started watching me and looking at me, and then they saw how I handled a weapon. They had me on the radar from the very beginning, and I had no idea. Anyway, that's how I got started, that was an honor to be captain of Service Week. Because there were guys that were like in their 20s. When you're in boot camp, they're in your battalion, in your housing. There's probably 60, 70 guys, 60 guys. Let's say you got 60. You got 9 battalions, of guys of housing, But another nice thing there during boot camp, it was in Orlando, and the waves, which the women that are going into the military, we all met at the Chow Hall, wow, that was quite the experience for me.
The Chow Hall.
Chow Hall, that's what they call it.
That's
Chow
funny.
Hall, where you get in there, you eat it and you go, you eat it and you go, and that's why I have to stop myself a lot of times with a lot of things I do. I eat too fast. I do a lot of things fast.
Yeah.
Fast.
You probably picked that up in the military.
Yes. And you try to do it with pinpoint accuracy. I go in, everything that I do, I go in to hit the target. I'm also a recovering perfectionist. The way I dress, my shoes, my car, just those little things.
Yeah,
and
I can understand that.
And in the beginning of that, a lot of that stuff will drive you to madness, because you're trying to perfect it so much. So every day I ask God to help me, because I know not what I do. It's just instinct. And I tell you, what a journey this thing called life is. I still want to live. I'm going to be 67 years old, 66 years old in July. And it seems like the other day I met you, Eric, back in the 80s. I met you in 1988. And that's been, 34 years ago, 32 years ago? Wow. Time has flown. And there's so much to do. There's so much more I want to do. So much more that I want to achieve. So much more that I want to be in God's eyes. I don't worry too much about what other people say about me or think about me anymore. Although that wasn't the case when I was younger. I was always wanting to get approval, so God has helped me a lot in my later years here. I've grown up a lot more. God has helped me to mature and to cherish and love the people around me because they could be gone tomorrow, so I want to cherish that moment with whoever and whoever the people that I want around me to love, and exuliate love. That's me. I just love to love, and I love to be around people that love life and want it. It's like a shot in the arm every morning I wake up. I get to share another day with people around me. Let's try to make something out of today, because God may not give us tomorrow. So I do that to stay positive, and I And I find God's back pocket every morning. God help me and to guide me through life today. Let me do what you want me to do instead of what I want to do. And that's what I try to live by. And one day at a time.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
And that's another thing is that a lot of people have been drawn away and taken away from positive religious values. And there's evidence all around us that very few in humanity function well without that focus. And whether, whatever somebody individually thinks about their level of belief in
I hate the politics right now, Eric. I hate them. This COVID, all this stuff. That's why you're seeing a lot of SEALs go into politics right now, because they know it's poison right now. It's absolutely poison, and these people are evil. They're evil, and that's not what I remember as a child and whatever as politics. That's outlandish lashing out to people and trying to take them out. And they're not just trying to take them out, they're trying to take their head off and humiliate them and bring them down to whatever their level is. That kind of hate is worse than prejudice or anything else that could be possibly to think. I don't know where their thinking is really, but it's got something to do with China being on the map with us and trying to bring us down. I'm looking at the whole spectrum of the picture of this, and I don't like it. I don't like any part of it. This God's creation, this thing that we call the United States of America, was brought in from Christianity, from the love of God and Jesus Christ. My God is a loving God. I don't want any part of some God that wants to take somebody's life or take their livelihood or take them out of the spectrum of anything. Everyone has a chance to live here and to be a person here, if you can get here. So I've got nothing against anybody. Come legally. So that way, if you hurt someone or lame someone or whatever, you have to take the responsibility of having done that. So it just messes up the whole scale and the whole spectrum of what the United States of America is all about. Evil.
That must be so heartbreaking, especially for somebody that put their all, jumping out at 30,000 feet in the dark.
So I gave my life for this country. I gave my life before all other great men that came before me, for this kind of freedom that we have here in this country. That's what my job was on the ground, was to fight for the freedom of others and to have the respect and the manhood to be able to stand fast and to stand up for your rights. And that's what this is all about.
That is so powerful. We're here at Club Dub on a date with Destinee with the great Art Boseman, and we'll continue in just a moment.
That was incredible. Yeah.
Thank you. Kill you first because of what you know. They'll take you out in a New York second. If China was to come in and take over this country and whatever, it's like microwave. That's what's happening. It's like a microwave.
Yeah.
It's coming. It's crucifying us within. From here going out. And it's pushing out all our values, all our way of life, all our beliefs, trying to push everything back. That's what the tear down of the statues are all about. That's what the tear down of the government is all about.
This was all cultivated using social media. So I think it started obviously with Facebook. Well, I know it started with Facebook, and then it moved on to Instagram, and then it switched over to TikTok.
Let's bring this back in with this because this is too good not to be in the show.
True.
You know what I mean? All right.
I know what I'm going to say next. All right.
Okay.
Wait, is this correct? No.
And we're back in at Club Dub Studio on a date with Destinee with the great Art Boseman. And I must say that I'm so pleased with this conversation. And I expected it to be great because just even from this standpoint of talking about the sales and the added bonus of the Navy SEALs experience. But this program was originally conceived about life in the Tri-Valley, politics, spirituality, and the human condition. And so we couldn't have been more fortunate than to have Art Boseman with us. And I think we'll let him continue with that.
Yeah. I was getting on into a point to talk to Art about what's happening here in the United States was completely cultivated by social media. It started when Facebook first was a thing. The AI learning algorithmic responses to what people initially respond to. And we already know that people respond to like pain and suffering and anger. So an example of that would be if you see a video of a smiling, happy puppy, obviously people enjoy the video. But if you see a video of a police officer beating someone, you're more likely to respond to the video of the police officer than you are to the smiling, happy puppy. And the AI, the algorithm, discovered this using Facebook. And then through Instagram, this technology was continued. And now there's TikTok, the Chinese spyware app, which is literally like cultivating children's minds. I swear, all of Gen Z and practically all millennials all believe they have some sort of mental illness. They're mentally incapacitated. It's all driven through social media. It's like people don't have any sort of personality outside of it. And it's almost like it's brainwashing children into believing certain things and forgetting certain ideals, which is why.
Well, this is this. When you stop people from raising the bar, when you stop people from pushing to be the best they can possibly be, when you stop bringing the air about that to other people that they can just do mediocre or whatever and get by with it, you're stopping socialization with other people, because if you don't have a tier to go for that top level of being the best that you are, how can you appreciate anything about you?
Yeah.
You know, you've got to give everything you got to get what you get. You know, and if
things aren't just handed out for free,
and if they're just handed out to you, that means that's where socialism comes in. You know, you're being whatever you're going to be for them, not for yourself, not for God.
And that's honestly the problem which is happening in our country today.
Yeah, you take God out of the equation and you put government first.
Oh my God, that's exactly what's happening.
That's it in a nutshell. You take God out of the equation,
and you're putting the government
and the government is everything. So you rely.
People worship the government.
You worship the government. Everything is about the government and them being able to do for you before you can do for anybody else.
Yeah. Now, what I don't understand is people my age and younger, and they generally know that the government is corrupt, and yet they still want to give them more power.
If you can't see, people can't see what's going on, that do for the government, for them not doing for you. Do what I say, not what I do.
Yes.
Do what I say,
not
what I do.
You know,
and that's where all the big money people, that's why everybody, they've got the media, they've got the news channels, they've got everything on the hook except for Fox. Fox is the only one that's not eating their peanuts, And so I just hope and pray that this doesn't go any further than it's going, because we're in trouble right now. We're in trouble right now. We need to push back with everything we've got. And if we don't, we're going to end up losing our freedom of speech, our freedom of worship, that God's going to be put on the back pedal, and and everything is about government.
And we'll eventually lose our. Well, I don't think this will happen, but maybe here in this this state, our right to bear arms,
and our speech.
Speech and right to bear arms. Those are the two that are terrifying.
Expression is number one.
Yeah.
If you can't say anything and you only have to do what they want you to do and what they want you to say, you're in trouble. We are in trouble now. We're in a battle.
I don't know how they've convinced people that freedom of speech is a bad thing. I remember when I was in middle school and high school learning about the First Amendment and how important freedom of expression was.
That's what this COVID-19 thing was all about.
Yeah.
Giving people money. Like Reagan said many years ago, when you pay people to be poor, they will be poor.
Yeah,
You're going to have a percentage of them. So if anybody in their right mind thinks that this election that we just had, where Biden and Kamala Harris, I was trained, and taught when I was a kid, if you don't have anything good to say about anybody, don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
But there's absolutely nothing I can think of that I like about either one of these two people.
No.
Of their records or anything else. Nothing. 47 years of hog shit.
Amen.
Amen.
So I wouldn't want him running my sewage plant.
Definitely not the sewage plant. We'd all end up getting sick.
We'd be in danger. So this guy can't even find his ass with both hands.
No.
So I don't know where the government's going. I don't know. I just hope that every SEAL known to man gets into politics, because I can tell you what, we'll be a lot better off, because they don't stop until every man's across the line.
Yeah.
And we're fighting to keep freedoms that we already have. And that's where we're at right now, and it's a battle, and
an uphill battle both ways in the snow.
This far left is really, really scary, and they're very evil. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Well, we both agree with you on that.
You were definitely on the same page, and I think you'll. Oh, and we're gonna take a brief break, and we will be back in Club Dub Studio on a date with Destinee with the great Art Boseman.
Whew. You look so nice.
Thanks. I'm not done getting ready.
Okay.
All right, let's do this.
All right, headphones. Time to lock this up. Sons of mothers. Okay. This thing on. And we're back in Club Dub Studio on a date with Destinee. We had the great pleasure of interfacing with our good friend Art Boseman, and he's been very kind to agree to join us in a potential subsequent program as we're kind of wrapping up this one. But are there any other things that you might want to share with us prior to wrapping up today's episode of Date with Destinee?
Nothing except for every day that I focus when I get up in the morning is I focus on God, and this is God's world, not mine. And I ask Him for leadership every day, and that He is my Savior. And I'm never going to get any higher than graduating to human. And that's the way I feel about myself and other people around me, and we're fallible. We make mistakes, and we ask God to help us not to make the same mistake again. And that's easy to say, and for us, it's very hard to do. And I cherish life. I'm grateful I'm alive. I'm grateful that my mother is still alive, although that's the shell of my mother. It's not my mother's actions. I know that to be true, but she seems so, I don't bother with it because she seems so serene and lovable and loving. And that's what, until she stops breathing, I will cherish that. that she's still alive. And it's been such an honor to be here this morning with you and to meeting you, Destinee. And I've never done this type of thing before, and shared my life and my experiences with life. Our journey here on this planet, we're only living here for a short while, and this is God's world, and I plan on being in it for Him, and whatever He wants my destiny to be further, that's where I want it to be, and I live so much more serene that way.
Absolutely. Well, it's been an absolute honor and pleasure to have you on our show. We both really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story and your experiences. Your story is extremely captivating, and I can't wait to have you on the next show. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
All right, and thank you again, Mr. Art Boseman. This has been A Date with Destinee. And please, for those watching, be sure to visit our waronpress.store. And you know what to do there. Buy up whatever you can see to help support us in our efforts. And be sure to smash like buttons and whatever other things appear on your screen to help us stay in touch and to bring you to our next Date with Destinee.
That was a good closing. Did you guys enjoy your walk?
I didn't walk. We just stood up. And those places out in the back that look like apartments were where the firemen used to stay.
Wow. I wonder why they tore the firehouse down.
Well, they made it a bigger restaurant because it got really big. You could go there and had a bucket of clams and oysters and steamed and catfish fried.
They had a big fish tank.
It's a big spot because I came up here back from Southern California in '79, and it was still the fire station there, and they had turned it into a restaurant. Matter of fact, the kitchen was as big as what the firemen used to cook in. That's how big it was.
Wow.
And it was the fire station, and they had turned it into where you sat down in the restaurant where the fire engines used to sit, and close it off in the building. So it was the place to go.
I used to live there, and I had no idea about that.
You could get the big catfish. It was about this size here, and then they cut it in half after they fry it. It was only like $6.95.
Wow.
I remember that price.
Nowadays, it's $6.95 just to get a box of cereal.
Or a loaf of, or some bread at your table.
Right at your table.
That's our government
Tell
full
me
throttle.
Yeah, I went grocery shopping.
Punish us. They're punishing us.
It really is. Like,
Punishing.
that really is what it feels like. I went grocery shopping for the first time in like months last night. And as soon as I started checking out, I was like, what the hell? Like, this is way more expensive than it used to
A
be.
good place to go. I'm going to turn you on to this. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Grocery Outlet.
Oh, okay. I've never
There's
shopped
none
there,
around
but
here.
You can go there
My
if
younger
you like
brother's
ice creams and
Yeah.
things like that, and luncheon meats and things. That's going to be about the best place. It's got a shelf life to 30 to 60 days.
Yeah.
And as it gets down closer to where it ends, the shelf life is still good for a couple of weeks after the expiration date.
Yeah.
So you can get them like where it's like $5 for a package of luncheon meat. It's 99 cents or $1.99.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Excellent.
That's crazy.
All your nuts and things like that.
I'm allergic to nuts.
I go to Costco mostly to get all that kind of stuff, but
Well, yeah, that's kind of what we decided.